And here we got the Scar Predator out of his box. And the first thing by saying is, right now, in my entire collection, this particular action figure is for real probably one of my favorite things in my collection. I mean, what Mcfarlane did in the past, it is old. It is 2004 what we are talking about, the release of AVP. And it's actually 5 years ago. And still to this day, the Scar Predator is such an excellent figure by Mcfarlane. How old the company is, and how low they sometimes put Articulation in figures in the past, especially in the 90s. This figure is amazing. And if I will recommend that the Alien and Predator figures with the Robocop from Movie Maniacs Series 7. Those figures have the nicest articulation of the Mcfarlane sets. But this right here, the Alien vs Predator Scar Predator, is probably one of my favorite figures of all time. This figure is amazing. Let's take a look at the figure. First by putting down the plasma caster. I want to take a later on that. But take a look at the figure. I have to say, if you saw my review of the Alien vs Predator movie on DVD, you heard that I'm not as a huge fan of the Alien vs Predator saga. Of course, Alien vs Predator is definitely not one of my favorites of the Alien and Predator saga. I will probably say Alien, Aliens, Predator, and Predators. Those four are, in my opinion, the best. But AVP is still a quite nice looking movie, in my opinion. It has some drawbacks, especially the end scene, but for all, it was a pretty decent movie. And if you heard me, I was kind of complaining how the Predator looked. They had all kind of the same armor, the same weapons, the same design. The only thing that was different are the masks. I have to say, when I first saw actually the Scar Predator, I thought he looked really nice. Some people say, well, he looks very basic in my opinion, and some people prefer, most people prefer, I think, Celtic, because he had more like a very different looking mask. But I have to say, I liked Scar a little bit more. For overall design, how he looked, and how he played in the movie was really nice. And still today, probably the Scar Predator is probably one of my favorite. It is definitely not my favorite, but it is definitely probably one of my favorite top 6 favorite looking Predators. But I always really liked Scar quite a bit. Let's take a look at the excellent figure by Mcfarlane. So his mask, the mask looks very similar, like kind of like the classic Predator's mask, but it's slightly changed, I think, because the mouthpiece right here is a little bit more slender and Predator 2 looking. And the mask is a little bit bigger too, I think. I want to bring a comparison. So I want to bring a comparison of the Scar Predator's mask to the classic Predator's mask. And let's bring the both of them together. I gotta hold this second. Like that. How pretty similar they like. And if you look at them together, they're very different. If we compare it to Scar, yeah, this one is more damaged up because it's the battle damage version classic Predator. But the masks are pretty different. The design is pretty much the same, but they're very different. Scar Predator is more like a bulkier, bigger looking mask. If compared to the classic ones, it looks pretty much smaller. Also, his visor is different than the Scar Predator. Any mouthpiece, the mouthpiece right here is bigger on the Scar Predator than on the classic. So pretty much different in a sense in there as well. Just gotta hold a second. I want to give him a comparison to another one. Here we go to the classic, and here we got also. Oh, there I felt the scar. I'm sorry, guys. Must be really careful with this figure because I paid a lot of money on this guy, and he's such a rare figure. And here you got him with Berserker. You actually see that the Scar Predator is, I mean, much bigger than Berserker right here. For some people, pretty strange because Berserker Predator is supposed to be a super predator, but because I think the Berserker Predator, Falconer, and Tracker Predator are more like teenager predators, it's the reason that they're smaller than the Scar Predator, because Scar Predator is, I think, more like a bigger, grown-up adult predator. And compared to Classic, he's much bigger than Classic. Because the Classic is I think another race to the Berserker. They're smaller. Let's take a look at the Scar again. Let's bring these two down. But I mean, Mcfarlane did an excellent job for this figure. Take a look at the hair. The hair they're all come together, not as freely like the Berserker's Predators hairs or the Class Predators dreadlocks. But they're nice looking, I have to say. They're all come together, but they're very nice looking. Nice detail. Very nice detail in it. I think, I mean, somewhat nicer than the smaller scale Scar Predator, because he had more like a red dotted detail in the hair, which is pretty wrong. But take a look at the armor and first at the necklace, which is cool with some really nice trophies. This looks like an ape. This looks more like a, I don't know. They're different creatures. But this armor right here is very nicely detailed. Very nice weathered looking armor. On the skirt itself, you can actually see it close to shuriken. And again, very nicely detailed. On his legs, you got the sorry, and the netting on there as well. The shin guards on there, very nicely detailed again. This figure is amazing. Also the holster for his knife. I will later come into it. Also his feet with the feet guards and the very common Alien vs Predator sandals with the sharp looking points. In a way, his articulation, I have to say. In a way, for his articulation. If you know Mcfarlane toys, they never did a great job with articulation with the most of the figures. But I have to say, the Alien vs Predator, Movemaniac Series 6, Alien Predator line, and the refresh Alien vs Predator series, and Robocop from Movemaniac Series 7s, those figures are really trained up with articulation. Scar Predator also in there as well. He has the ball jointed head. He's got this very nice Marvel Legend inner shoulder articulation, which is very nice for posing. Also has a ball jointed shoulder. There is a cut joint in the elbow, which is very common in Mcfarlane. They only have put a swivel in the elbow, so it doesn't. It bothers not me. It bothers not me really much. There is articulation in the hands, and a twist. Pretty weird. On this hand, there is a hinge joint. There's a ball joint in the mid torso, or the ab crunch, which many people call. Swivel at the waist, ball jointed legs, rotate the thigh, bend at the knee, and also there's a ball joint in the feet. So that's, I mean, loads of articulation. In the way of accessories, he does have what come very nice accessories. But first show him by the very nice blades that he comes with. Wrist blades are very big. Such badass looking. Just awesome. Just awesome. He came with the battle staff, the battle spear, which is very long if you compare it to the Inverse Predator Wolf Predator by NECA. He came also with a very nice looking base. Except for this part, there's supposed to be there standing a pillow, but because of the size of the figure, it hindered a lot, so they removed it. It looks, at this part right here, very, very, very nice. Very, very nice. Look at the detail inside it. Just awesome. He came also with a how do I call it again? It's a trophy dagger, which is very, very nicely detailed again. Let's put it back in this holster. You must be really, really careful if you compare it to if you get it back in the holster. But probably my favorite accessory is definitely the plasma caster. Such big, awesome looking. If compared to Berserkers looks much, much smaller. The short cannon is articulated as well. There are hinges in there. There's a joint right there, a joint right there, and a joint right there. And also on the top it twists. Probably a really neat thing is that you can actually move the front of the shoulder cannon itself. I have to say, my only downside I got with the shoulder cannon are some of the joints. Some of the joints, if you don't correct the joint right on the back like so, it's getting really loose, which is a common problem for many people. But it isn't too bad. This is a nice looking pose for a shoulder cannon. Just awesome, badass looking that he shoots you in the face like that. Can't imagine that a predator is in your room and shoots you in your head with this particular shoulder cannon. Very dangerous. Also, the backpack looks pretty much the same as the classic Predators. Slightly changed, slightly more painted, and the paint itself looks, awesome. Just look at it. There's Scar for ya. But this is, an excellent, excellent, excellent figure from Mcfarlane. He is probably one of my favorite figures in my collection. So I want give this guy a solid 9.5 or probably a 10. Because he's so rare and nice, he's probably my favorite figure in my collection. Probably one of my favorites. He gets a 10, guys. A 10. Such an awesome looking figure. But this was again a tour review from March 446. I'll see you guys next time with another review.